Hello, my friends. Welcome to my channel if you're new, and welcome back if you're not new. This channel is all about taking ancient spiritual knowledge and then updating it to a modern format so that you can use it on your own journey towards a spiritual awakening. Today, we are going to be looking at the channeled entity, not Darryl Anka Bashar, and he is channeled by a man named Darryl Anka. And Bashar is an entity that gives lots of teachings about timelines and higher spiritual dimensions, and he does it in his own specific way to uh, help people on their own journey to becoming their their best selves and achieving their highest potential. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to play one of his clips, and we're going to analyze his advice when it comes to or his explanation, sorry, when he tries to answer the question, why does uh, the ultimate creator, the monad, God, whatever you want to call it, why does the creator of all of this allow so much suffering? And that is a question that I get over and over again on my channel. It's one that took me a really long time to understand, and I found it really difficult during my journey. And I think what happens is people go through all of my videos about Gnosticism and the Matrix and all of that stuff, and they understand the message that I'm trying to get across, which is that this is a simulated reality, and there are higher dimensional beings that many people are unaware of that are actually causing all of the chaos that happens in this reality. And those entities are beyond our field of perception. And I sort of go into how and why I believe that to be the truth. And then people message me all of the time and they ask me, okay, well, if that's the truth and there are these sort of demonic alien entities that are causing so much chaos, why doesn't God, let's just call it God, why doesn't God step in and save us? And why does he allow so much suffering to happen? And that's a question that comes up not just in spirituality, it comes up in religion and in different areas of life. And it's a tough one. It's a really difficult thing to understand, to wrap our heads around and to accept. And I didn't always understand the spiritual explanations as to why that was. So I'm making this video to try and make that a little bit clearer for all of you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play what Bashar has to say, and I'm going to tell you whether I agree with him or not. And also, you guys let me know if you agree with what he has to say or not, because I know a lot of you guys don't like the idea of channeled entities, because many of them in the New Age space, especially, sort of convince souls that they need to stay in the matrix for longer because they need to learn lessons, and that can sometimes be viewed as demonic and as part of the Archon's plans, or these demons' plans to try and keep souls stuck in this realm. So there's that whole argument over there. So let me know whether you agree with some of what Bashar says, whether you think all of these channeled entities are demonic or whether it's something else. I'll be reading all of the comments in this video, so please don't hesitate to let me know. And also, if you find any value in this video, please like it because it helps me in the YouTube algorithm. Okay, so I'm going to stop talking now and let's listen to what Bashar has to say.
Sure.
And to you, good day.
So I am in very good contact with my spirit guides.
Very good contact.
Yes.
Oh, all right. Invite each over for tea now and then.
We hang out. It's great. And much of what you've imparted to us today has come to me in different ways along the way.
Yes.
And
all of this is available to all of you.
And there's one, thank you, yes. And there's one question that is challenging me, and I'm hoping that you can clear it up.
What is your exciting challenge?
Oh, my exciting challenge is that I am unclear about how child abuse or abuse of, let's say, war in a country where innocent people in their home just going about their business are suddenly traumatized.
Yes.
And I would love to understand your perception of that.
I will give you 2 out of many reasons why such things can occur on your planet. All right?
Thank you.
Number 1. An individual, as a spirit, may choose to come into a situation where they know something like that may occur, so that they know also that the occurrence will allow itself to act as an example to others in that reality, so they can look at what their reality is like and decide to make sure that that never happens again.
Yes.
So that being will have, in that sense, endured that in order to function as a living example that can change reality and change people's ideas about how they wish their world to be.
Okay. So his first argument is that extreme suffering happens in this realm because somewhere in the spiritual higher dimensions, the soul decides that they want to come down to this planet as a sort of a sacrifice almost, and endure all of these terrible things like, harm of young people and war and stuff like that, because they want to be an example of what not to do. Now, do I agree with this? Honestly, I would have to say no, personally, because I believe that is a trick, a trap to get souls from other places in the universe and other dimensions that are more peaceful than this reality, to come down here and to experience suffering and to give power to the archons. And if you don't know about that, archons are is a Greek word from Gnosticism, which is ancient Christian mysticism, which means rulers, and they believe that there were dark rulers who are all over this planet, and they cause chaos because they feed off of negative energy. And the argument is that they convince souls from other planets, and they convince human souls who are in the reincarnation process to keep coming back to this reality to experience suffering, so that they can learn lessons or teach other people about how not to suffer. And what Bashar says about being an example to others is very noble. I think it sounds really good, but ultimately, I believe that it is a trap, and it's these ideas that pop up in the New Age community can sort of perpetuate this idea of Stockholm syndrome, where we've been through horrific things, or we watch other people go through horrific things, and we're told that it has this higher purpose to teach other people. And I don't believe that that is true, in my opinion. But let's go on and listen.
Secondly, when you are born into physical reality on your planet, because of the nature of the way consciousness has compartmentalized itself, many individuals will receive or get downloaded by their parents telepathically with their parents' fears, doubts, and so on and so forth, and the negative belief systems. When these are imprinted into the child and the child grows up without necessarily knowing that they are carrying these imprints, they may thus unknowingly attract themselves into situations that are representative of the negative fears that they are unaware of, and the negative situations that happen thus bring to their attention that they may have belief systems that would make it more likely for them to attract themselves into such situations than anything else. And that...
I paused it a little bit early there. That I believe with. So I agree with. He talks about the negative belief systems that are pushed so hard in different areas of human activity, but this channel specifically focuses on religion and spirituality. And he talks about how these belief systems they can be absorbed, and they sound good in theory, but because they are so polarized in one certain direction, and that direction being these religions are presented in a way where humans are very submissive and very powerless, and all of the power belongs to this outside entity that goes by by many names. And what I think that he's about to say, I haven't watched this, by the way, is that that extreme lack of power that we are told to accept comes out in other ways, because the truth is that we are extremely powerful, and many ancient spiritual religions believed that humans were basically demigods and were no different to God, and we have a lot of power, and we're able to manifest and create and do all of these wonderful things. But the society that we have constructed takes that away, and only very few people have the power to maneuver in the way that they want. So what I believe happens is the general population takes power back wherever they can, and that is usually in the form of politicians do it in the form of pointless wars, and on a more interpersonal level, that can happen in relationships and family dynamics, where one person who sees himself as dominant does all of these toxic things to other people who are more powerless, usually children, and they do that as a way of trying to express their power, because they've got no other way of doing it, no other outlet. So it comes out all of that suppression of our natural power comes out in unhealthy ways. So that's what I believe that Bashar is about to say. But let's see. I might be
act
right.
as an example for them to get in touch with that, so they can also change that situation for themselves.
Yes, I see that.
All right. These are two ideas of why such things happen. It is not in that sense a justification, but these things can still be used in a positive way to allow things to be different. If you use them that way, then they will have served a positive purpose. If you allow as a species this to simply continue on, then in that sense you will simply be caught up in your own cycle of self-perpetuation.
Okay, sorry, I keep pausing it. But I agree with what he says there, is that many of us see all of these things happen in the news. We see all of these toxic things happening in relationships. We see all of the hypocrisy that happens in certain religious spaces, and we don't get to the root of the problem. So, we just say, oh, politicians, that's politics, and we can't really sort of have any say against it. And we kind of just watch all of these horrific things play out on the news. And I know some people protest and whatnot, but for the most part, we're pretty powerless, let's be real, to what the politicians do in terms of war. And then we watch all of these other terrible acts that people do, that sometimes make the news, and we either just turn a blind eye, stick our head in the sand, or we send these people off to the prison systems, and whether the prison systems actually work or not is extremely debatable. But we don't get to the root cause of the issue, and I believe that the root cause of the reason as to why people do these horrendous things is that we live in a society, we've co-created a society where too much of our power is being given away. And I especially see that as someone who creates content that tries to give our power, back to people. But, I get, all of that backlash, and I get people telling me that, we are not as powerful as God, and we need to, give all of our energy to God, and, all of that stuff that we get taught in those religious spaces. And when I try to deliver my message, not you guys, I know it's not you guys, but there is a large portion, let's say, of people that call it demonic. But the only thing that is actually demonic is refusing to acknowledge certain things, because when we don't, it goes out of balance, and these issues come out in unhealthy ways. So totally agree with Bashar there.
But remember that regardless how difficult, drastic, abusive, heinous, negative many of these things may seem, and again, this is not a justification, it is not an excusing of the perpetrators, because it is up to each and every being to get in touch with their own source of power and understand that they do not need to do those kinds of things in order to express the power that they wish to express.
Mm-hmm.
The idea of the lesson here is to understand that these things only really happen on your planet because there is such a strong investment in disempowerment.
Yeah.
And the idea is...
Exactly. So anyway, let me stop.
Is that people on your planet are not taught to believe that they are empowered.
Mm-hmm.
They are taught to believe they are disempowered. And when a person is taught to believe they are disempowered, they will rebel against it. and they will take as many people with them down their spiral as they can, because they don't want to be alone. So it may actually be a distorted expression of love, because if that's the only way they have been taught to express the idea of connection negatively, then they will express with the only tool they have at hand, destructiveness.
Yes.
You follow me?
I do.
So these are all opportunities for individuals to get a handle on the true core reasons why these things happen and allow the change to occur, instead of going into victimization that again has to do with blame, complaint, and justification.
Yeah, exactly. So exactly what I've just said. If we don't get to the core reason as to why these things actually happen, then we just carry on blaming these perpetrators, as we should, but we need to be a little bit smarter than that, and to move beyond.
Yes.
Does
blame.
this help you?
It surely does.
And one more thing, remember, and again, not a justification in that sense, not an excuse. From the spirit level, these things are extremely temporary. Have you ever had what you call a bad dream and then woken up and gone, oh, that was just a dream?
Yes.
All right. When you die and go into spirit, that's exactly what you do.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, physical reality? Just a bad dream for a moment.
Mm-hmm.
It's not really who I am.
Exactly. And now that's another message that I try to get across through my content, that this is a simulation. It's a virtual reality. It's a dream world. I did a live recently on a book called The Dream by I can't say the name of the man, because I'm always getting strikes on YouTube and different places for talking about this stuff, but I will leave the link to the book below. But it's a very famous book by a very famous man, a well-known man in the UK, who also argues that this reality is a dream, it's a simulation, and it's a projection that we as our God selves are projecting out into reality from elsewhere. And the reason as to why we have co-created this space is extremely debatable, but we're basically projecting out this reality of extreme darkness and extreme light. And from what I have researched, and from what I know, we're doing it almost to test ourselves, to see what path we're going to take. So are we going to go down the rabbit hole of darkness and shadows and confusions, or are we going to take our power back, and are we going to rise, and are we going to become lucid in our own dream, and are we going to start co-creating a world that is something that we prefer from a higher perspective. So I like watching different people's opinions, and you guys can also see where I get some of my information from, so you can go out and maybe research some of these people by yourselves if you find it interesting.
You follow me?
Yeah.
So there's that perspective too. And so from the spirit perspective, sometimes beings will understand that even though they know they may be becoming physical in a world that is somewhat chaotic and expresses itself somewhat abusively, they still know it is not really in any way, shape, or form permanent, and from their perspective, not really real. And they know, even though the idea of the physical mind and the higher self may experience the difficulty, it is still something that the soul can use in a positive way. And the idea is, again, to act as an example to the world, to bring it in front of everyone's face that if such things are the way of the world and you don't prefer them to be that way, then do something constructive about it. And that way things will change.
Absolutely. So that's why I say that following our what we believe our purpose to be is so important, especially if you have an interest in this side of spirituality. It's extremely niche. It's not something that the average person looks into. So I believe that if you are here and if you are connecting with this information, then there is something that you need to do. And just the act of doing it or beginning to research it will cause this ripple effect out into this fake reality, or it's not a fake reality, but this reality of vibration, and it will bring balance into this world, and all of the war and all of the negativity will shrink, and all of the positive things and all of the beautiful opportunities that this life has for us will expand for you. And I watched people tell me this for years and years, and I thought that they're just saying that, or it wouldn't work for me. But I promise you, it actually works. And I don't have the science for it. I don't have the technical language for it, but all I know is that as soon as you start to act on whatever makes you happy, whatever you're excited on, that's what changes the world. It's not trying to go to a protest and fight this, or trying to convince the religious person next door about this, because all that does is create friction, and it creates more polarity. We have to go in. We have to go inside and do what we're supposed to do, and it really is that simple. So if you get nothing else from this video, please take that away with you.
Beautiful.
Now, remember also that you're, as a world, pretty much near the end of the cycle of all the negativity. And so, in a sense, there isn't that much time left in which to experience the idea of negative reality. And so what you're doing now is getting it all up out of your system very rapidly, bringing it all out onto the table so you can decide what you do and don't prefer your world to be.
Mm-hmm.
Make sense?
Yes.
So the more actively involved you people become in the idea of helping to teach empowerment to people who have been taught disempowerment, the greater, faster, and more profound the healing will be.
Definitely.
All right.
And that's the exit. That's the way out of the matrix, and that's how we avoid being reincarnated. And that when we're in that state, we can't be fooled, not by the person next to us, not by an archon, not by our family members who might not be into this, not by anyone. And there's an assurance that comes with creating something that can help other people and empower other people and lift them up.
Yes, and I have another part of the question.
Oh, all right.
I feel like I vacillate between definitely being in touch with my higher self, and then some of my domestications, which want me to have a reaction to the abuser.
Yes.
And so I would love to have clarification from you on though I could probably say it's best to send love and to be loving, there's a part of me that fears that if I don't sort of scold or that's not the right word, but have some sort of reaction to the abuser that the abuse will continue. I just answered myself, but
yes, instead of a reaction, have a response. And allow the energy to be this if you're going to interact. That you understand that they are abusers because they have been abused. And they are only continuing a chain of events. The idea is to allow them to understand, if they wish to, that there is a way for them to feel empowered instead of disempowered.
Okay, now this is this is where the New Age stuff loses me. I personally believe that what Bashar is talking about from a higher perspective is absolutely true, and that hurt people, and we should probably take the moral high ground and show them that there's another way to be more successful. And I do believe that you should do that, and that if you have been through something toxic, then your focus should be yourself, and to level up and to improve yourself and mind, body, soul, and all of that stuff. However, I also believe in balance. And I believe that if you have gone through something negative, then that person should they should get what they deserve. And in the spiritual space, we have this idea of karma, and what you do will always come back to you, and whatever you put out, you're gonna get back by your actions alone. And that is also true. But when we look at dark spirituality and manifesting with the shadow side of our consciousness, that has taught me how to truly let go of some of the injustices that I have been through in my life. So if we look at stuff like witchcraft, if we look at worshipping the old gods, so Lilith, Hecate, sometimes Lucifer, and all of that sort of side of things, and we put curses and hexes on people who only if they deserve it. So this is like a whole another subject in itself, and I've sort of touched on it on some videos and on my members only videos and on Patreon, that we actually can, if we feel called to, call on these other gods to bring back that balance, and to bring in that karma a little bit faster. And there are all different types of rituals and setups and spell work that an individual can do, and it's all of this knowledge is sort of lumped into the idea of witchcraft and Satanism and all of that stuff. But if you actually look into it, those people who historically practiced it did it to bring balance into the world. And that's why when things like the Salem witch trials happened and whatnot, they got rid of most of those individuals who practiced those things, because they didn't want any opposition or any repercussions for their actions. So they got rid of those people, mostly women, who practice those things. Got rid of the Gnostics who touched on subjects like that, and they put that under the blanket of being demonic and heretical and all of that stuff. And that was another way of let's call them the archons, or those dark spirits, taking away power from humanity. And what we have instead is this spiritual new agey idea of constantly turning the other cheek and constantly having to be the bigger person and see it from this higher perspective, which I'm sure in the grand scheme of things that we absolutely have to do. But while we're here and while we're physical on earth, we can absolutely, if we choose to, and if only if the person deserves it, call on other deities to help us in those situations. So if you feel a certain connection to a certain group of gods, maybe because that's your background or whatever, and you want to call on them and do spell work or work with those entities to bring balance to an unjust situation, then we can absolutely do that. And I've spoken a little bit about that as well in my document, Become Exalted, which you can get from my website. And I've got a little section there about how we can manifest with dark energy and how we can call on those gods to protect ourselves and keep ourselves safe spiritually in that way. And then another thing is just the act of doing that and writing out those spells, and even sometimes just writing down what terrible things have happened to you and what you wish that they could feel, and how you wish that they could get revenge, and all of that stuff it's cathartic in itself. And we need that. I strongly believe that we also need that release in some way. And we definitely don't go out and act on those emotions, and we don't hurt other people back or anything like that. Oh gosh, the shine on my face, guys. But we don't hurt people physically or anything like that. That is absolutely not what I am advising. But sometimes I feel like just expressing it in some way to yourself, and then not judging it, helps the soul to move on a lot quicker than trying to constantly take the high road. That I feel like that sort of pushes us too far into our light energy, which has a lot of consequences. That's just my opinion.
That will help not only them, but everyone. Does this make sense?
It does. And
the idea of reacting in the negative way. For the initial 15 seconds, your angry reaction is a natural reaction, a natural response that gives you an energetic alignment so that you understand vibrationally that you are a vibration that is different than that vibration. It aligns you to where you stand.
Yes.
But beyond that 15 seconds, it then dissolves into judgment. Right. And if it dissolves into judgment, what you're actually doing is judging portions of yourself.
And then matching the vibration in
yes.
yourself to the
And that's what the phrase means, judge not lest ye be judged.
Yes.
It doesn't mean you're being judged from outside. It means that as you judge, you take yourself to that level.
Yes.
I disagree. Personally, I feel like maybe if an individual is more on the narcissistic side of things, I don't know what the word is, then I believe that that advice works. But I think if you're an empath and if you're more spiritually aligned, and if you find yourself more at the receiving end of people's toxicity, I think that this way of thinking can be toxic, and it can lead to a lack of boundaries if you're not really careful.
And that's not going to help anyone heal. It's only going to perpetuate more judgment, more abuse. Understand in that sense that it takes a victim to make a victim. You understand?
Yes, I do.
So when you don't look at them as victims, because that's how they look at themselves,
Yes.
and you see them as empowered beings that have the ability to find their power and change, that energy is at least an offering to them of the best opportunity to give them a chance to change, not that they have to. You follow me?
Yes.
And we understand that on your planet, because of the nature of some of those acts, that you have your ways of dealing with these things. But that's only, and ever only will be, a temporary measure. And it will not break the cycle until you actually teach people how to regain their self-empowerment.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So, there are a variety of creative and imaginative ways that people are doing that on your planet. You can come up with your own way as well, or a variation on a way that is being done, and you can start at the child level, the intermediate level, the adult level, or all of the above. It's up to you as to what motivates you, what moves you, what empowers you to empower them, if they choose empowerment. But you can make it clear as possible, that that's the choice to make, and that the only reason that they feel the way they do is because they have been taught disempowerment, and that what they are doing that they think is representative of power is actually representative of disempowerment.
Yeah, I think that is the key. So, what I say and what Bashar says is, extremely debatable, but what I think is 100% true is that the reason why such suffering happens on this planet, particularly on more personal levels, is because we have been taught too much disempowerment, and we're starting to become aware of the repercussions of that disempowerment, and they are all of the suffering are signals that we need to change and start empowering ourselves. And it's also a reminder to us that we can't constantly wait for an external entity to come down and save us. We have to start understanding that we are that entity, and we can't there's nothing physical that can come down and save us, because we're in our own dream. And if you look into different spiritual teachings, what you will start to understand is that this reality is locked. There is no physical I'm not going to say anything. There is no physical entity, no being from any planet that can penetrate from the outside in. It has to come from the inside out, because we are in our own dream. So I want to make that abundantly clear.
And you can teach
that we are,
in whatever way works for
we
you.
are waiting for.
That the greatest power requires the lightest touch. Here's an example. You are familiar on your planet with the idea of building blocks, yes?
Yes.
All right. You can take building blocks and build a tower. And then you can take another pile of blocks and just scatter them on the ground. And then ask a person, what is easier, to build a new tower or to knock that one down? They will usually say, well, knocking that one down is easy. Yes. Why is it easy? Because destruction takes no power.
Mm-hmm.
It takes power to create.
Yes.
And in those kinds of imaginative examples, you can start to teach people the difference. You follow me?
Yes.
Okay. I love that ending. Okay, so that I'm not going to add anything to that. I think I've spoke enough, and I think that that analogy at the end speaks to itself. So the reason for so much suffering and so much negativity is because destruction is easy, but most people, they don't want to take on the difficult task of building each other people up. So I totally agree with him in that sense. I hope that I answered that question. I will keep on speaking about subjects like this to make my opinions clearer and to hopefully give you guys some wisdom and some answers. Let me know if you agree with what I had to say, or if you disagree totally, or if you agree with Bashar. I would love to know your thoughts below in the comments, and I will definitely reply to all of you guys. If you found this video interesting, then we do something similar over on Patreon and on my my YouTube members, where I analyze a book and I speak about whether I agree with it or disagree with it. And the book that we are currently reading is called Alien Parasites, and it's all about the Gnostic archons and how they infiltrate the human mind from higher realms that we're not able to observe. And it's all about recognizing the signs of these alien parasites in ourselves and in the people around us, so that we can avoid them and become our greatest versions. So it's a really great book. We're a couple of chapters in at the moment, so if you would like to join us over on Patreon, I would really appreciate it. Please like this video if you've watched this far, and yeah, that's all I have to say. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll be back real soon with another video for you guys. So thank you guys for all of your support. I love you, and I'll see you in the next one.